There we go.
Okay, you're all set.
Okay, we're all set. Okay, we're going to be, we'll do some more of this as more people trickle in. But hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob. Welcome to.
And we are the hosts of Star Wars in a Galaxy, the Star Wars podcast where we watch all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. And what are we doing today? Today,
Jacob? We're doing Star Wars opinions. So give it in the chat, or in a minute we're going to unlock some spots if anyone wants to come on. We're going to be talking about, we have some discussion questions prepped, or if anyone has questions, comments about Star Wars, give us your hot takes.
Yes, give us your hot takes. We did an episode about this. It was it was in April. We posted in April where we did Star Wars opinions, where we asked each other 5 opinionated Star Wars questions, and we discussed it on In a Galaxy. Speaking of In a Galaxy, actually, I'm going to post a link if you want to check out our anchor page right here. Here we are. I just posted the link to our
Adam,
anchor page
in the chat. Thanks for being here.
Just quick plug, check us out on all of the stuffs. We have Twitter, we have and we're on everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there. Before we start, do you have anything to say before we go to the ground rules, I guess you could say?
They're good. Just a reminder, make a wish for the greater LA. Get Vocal is matching 33% of all donations made through the Get Vocal Vcoin system. So be sure to check that out if you want to make a donation. It's really awesome. Great cause. Yeah.
So what I was going to go with was, I think before we do, I just want to lay down. I don't think this is going to be necessary, but just in case, we want to keep this, one of the best things I've heard about Celebration, and I've been to Celebration once myself, actually, and I've experienced this. And so one of the best things I've heard about Celebration is that's the opposite of Star Wars Twitter. Star Wars Twitter can be a great place, but it can also be a pretty toxic place, as as many others have learned firsthand, and
that's
just generally the internet. So it's not to say you can't dislike stuff. This entire podcast, one of the foundations is I love Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and Jacob doesn't as much.
Yeah.
But
today we're just gonna try
don't
to keep
be toxic.
It positive.
Just keep it respectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, keep it respectful.
That's our one disclaimer before we go. I want to. Can we start with one of my questions? We got prepared a couple questions in advance.
Fire away, yeah.
Okay. So, if you could write the next Star Wars Disney Plus show, they're releasing a lot of their new content on Disney Plus. We have Mandalorian, and then we've heard about Cassian and Kenobi and the Bad Batch, and all these people are doing Disney Plus series, and there have been rumors about people getting their own Disney. If you could design your own Disney Plus series, then what would you design it around? What would the plot be? We're welcoming the hot takes in the chat, and let's open the spots now so we can hear.
Yeah, if anyone wants to step up. If
for
you don't
me,
feel
there is
comfortable,
this.
Just say it in the chat.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
For me, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna talk about one of mine that I was talking to you about earlier, Jacob, which is a TV show which is episode 0.
Episode 0.
Basically, it would be really cool to see a TV show about all the events that led to the blockade of Naboo in The Phantom Menace. That's one of my pitches. And we could see how the Republic was bogged down in corruption. We could see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan going on their final mission. We saw in season 7 of Clone Wars on Urbana, Obi-Wan and Anakin's final mission before they go to rescue the Chancellor. And I would be interested to see, I'd be interested to see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's final mission before they're tasked to negotiate a trade deal with the Trade Federation.
So it would kind of be about would it be about like the politics of the Republic and the Jedi?
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
But it would include Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
It would include Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. They should totally bring Liam Neeson back. I'd love to see him.
Yeah.
And I'd also love to see Terrence Stamp, I'm pretty sure is his name, as Finis Valorum, and stuff like that. That's just one of my pitches. In the chat, or grab a spot, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, go type in the chat. Either just one of your hot takes, or your opinion about like what a cool Disney Plus show for Star Wars would be.
While we're waiting on everyone to do that, I'm gonna say,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I would do. This is probably something that quite a few people might say. I think I would do something for a Rebels follow-up show, something where, because you know how Ezra and Thrawn got transported by the giant space tentacle squid whales to the unknown, ostensibly to the unknown regions, we can assume. So I think a show involving the unknown regions, getting to see the Chiss ascendancy on
that'd be cool. I'm excited because we got
hello, Dave.
Chaos. Hello. I just wanted to say, following up to Jacob's idea, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're getting that new book in about a couple weeks, which I've ordered, Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, which is the part of the new Ascendancy trilogy, which is going to show a lot of that. So I'm excited for that. Go ahead. What's your hot take, or answer that question?
Great. Yeah, I was just sitting and watching you guys, and you were saying you wanted people to actually add in. So here I am.
Oh, absolutely.
On the panel. I think the Chiss idea sounds great, but I was thinking how about a show about like the Cloud Riders from Solo? I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that
interesting.
Sounds awesome. I think that would be.
I'm drawn to the epilogue. There's an epilogue of the Solo novel, which shows Enfys Nest, and the Cloud Riders bringing a lot of their coaxium that Han got for them to Saw Gerrera and Jin's by him, and so which really shows that they are a part of the growing rebellion. And I'd be really interested in how that goes. And
me too. I'm interested in hearing about that. So he brought, if Enfys Nest brought the coaxium to Saw Gerrera, is that how Edrio Two Tubes got hooked up with Saw Gerrera in the first place? Because you might remember he was in Rogue One and he was one of the Cloud Riders. If you know that obscure character that I'm obsessed with, Edrio Two Tubes.
I do know Two Tubes from Rogue One and from Rebels, and I didn't know he was in Solo. Actually, I knew what's his name. Weasel's in Solo from Phantom Menace.
That's the one I really want to see. I want to see a whole show about Weasel.
The story of Weasel.
Yeah.
Look, everyone's got their Star Wars obsessed thing. Yeah. Jacob can. Rofamor in the chat says Benthic. It was actually Benthic.
Oh, really? Is that Benthic? How do we know that, Rofam boy? I want to know more about all of that. I don't know.
Wikipedia. Let's go. I was just thinking to myself, like everyone has their, I like to say everyone in Star Wars fandom has their favorite background character, and your background character really does, I'm a big fan, as Jacob can attest to you. I'm a huge fan of Ochi of Bestoon from The Rise of Skywalker, and there we did it. We got the bet done. I have now successfully mentioned Ochi of Bestoon.
Oh, Ochi. Yeah.
Says they weren't dressed the same.
He has a little Lobot ring around his head, doesn't he? Isn't he like a robot?
I think he did. Yeah. The funny thing is, I love that.
Lobot.
This is how bizarre my tastes are. It's like I have. It's like my favorite background character in Star Wars. We never see present day alive. We just see his bones, and then we see
the brief flashback of him stabbing.
Flashback of him stabbing Rey's parents. Yeah. I was suppressing myself because in any normal situation, I'd actually say the series I'd love to see is an Ochi of Bestoon led Final Order series. I was suppressing that because Jacob would go crazy. But no, seriously, the episode 0. Any other thoughts about the Cloud Riders idea, which I really like? I think it's a really cool idea. Or about
any background series like that. They stick out to me as one because of even what you just already said, that bridging chapter in the novelization, which I didn't even know about. Like, there's a lot to tell there. Like, there's background characters in there, like Enfys Nest references the woman, I think her mother who wore the helmet before her. Enfys Nest herself is clearly very young. So there's a story there. There's just a lot of stories there. I think it'd be really cool. It'd be good as an animated show or a live action show or a movie.
Matthias, I'd like an animated show set in either in the middle of episode 1 or 2, 1 and 2, or episodes 2 and 3. So like either like the height of the Republic or like the Clone Wars that would focus on Jedi that we don't know as much. That's interesting. So like, I feel like we did get quite a bit of that in the Clone Wars. I mean, like, say we got that in the Clone Wars is not really doing it justice because we got like an Ayla Secura episode here or a Kit Fisto episode there, or an Even Peel episode there. It would be interesting. I know there was an animation done about Plo Koon finding Ahsoka as a young girl, and we could see that. We could see that story. I know there's a whole story around that. What do you think about that, Jacob?
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea, Matthias. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry. That sounds like a great idea. I think it would be interesting to explore the politics of the Jedi Order, why they're kind of caught blindsided. Like, is it like a management like type problem, or what's going wrong in the Jedi Order that makes them so vulnerable to and so blindsided by Palpatine?
And I'm pretty sure if we get in a galaxy, we've discussed that. Like, we've really drilled into that topic because we were covering like a lot of the prequel era stuff, and like I think Jacob, you even wrote one of your questions around that, didn't you? So
I'd love to see any of that. I'd love to see any Kit Fisto, any from the Jedi Council. Give me an Oppo Rancisis spinoff show. I would watch an Oppo Rancisis spinoff show for sure. But I have to go now, guys. I just wanted to pop in.
Okay, see you later.
All right,
thanks so much for
some comments. Someone else pop in when I leave. All right, see you guys later.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye, Dave.
That was cool. That was really awesome. Thank you for that.
Enfys Nest would be a great character to explore separately.
Oh, and Quinlan Voss. Quinlan Voss. I really want to see. So here's the thing: in Legends, Quinlan Voss survived Order 66.
He did, really?
Yeah.
What's the story there?
He hit on Kashyyyk, basically.
Is Legends when he has the story where he falls in love with Asajj Ventress?
Actually, that's canon. That's canon.
That's canon.
That is actually canon. But Quinlan Voss, I was just thinking, would be interesting because he might how do I say it? Quinlan Voss might have survived Order 66 again. And if he did,
really?
That would be
he doesn't have a confirmed death.
And in Legends, he hid out with his wife and son. Now, he fell in love with Ventress in Dark Disciple, but Ventress died. So it'd be a much darker ending. Not only are all his friends and the Jedi gone, but now the love of his life has died.
Is that the is the Legends ending the one where Asajj Ventress is like a cyborg or something with the Battle of Botha Wui?
That's, I think, Legends.
Okay. Dan says, I would love to see an animated version of Shadows of the Empire.
That would be interesting.
What do you think of that?
That would be really cool. Shadows of the Empire, for those who don't know, is a multimedia project very akin to actually the modern equivalent would be The Force Unleashed. They did that with The Force Unleashed about 20 years later. And it helped explain the events between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
And when was it created?
Like late 90s, I think.
Late 90s, wow.
And they had like
kind of right when okay.
And they had like it was a only story without that Real Farm Boy just said only story without a film. That's exactly how it is. It's like everything but a film. It was a video game, it was a book, it was and no TV show, but like video game, book, soundtrack. Yeah, I was about to say, Dan, a soundtrack.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There was all of it. And it's focused on around basically they're like, oh no, we can't have Han Solo, so we'll just have Han Solo, but not Han Solo. And so they made Dash Rendar, and his ship, the Millennium Falcon. sorry, Outrider. But let's be clear, it's kind of like
So you think it's like a Han Solo stand-in, or
it's a Han Solo
in the same vein?
He's in the same vein as Solo, and it's about their dealings with there's this guy, you've probably heard of him, Prince Shizor.
Prince Shizor, he's the crime lord.
Yeah, right? he's like Jabba the Hutt, but better. But the Empire doesn't really like him. And he doesn't really like the Empire, and so they're constantly he runs Black Sun. Yeah.
Thank you, Rural Farm Boy.
Thank you for that. And the Empire doesn't like him, and he doesn't like the Empire, but they're like, oh, we both hate Luke Skywalker, so let's work together. That doesn't work out for long because they had some disagreements, and I'm pretty sure Shizor just gets absolutely busted and orbitally bombarded by the Empire.
Is Shizor in the canon Black Sun, the one that Maul?
I think Red 5 Mom Kanata's castle. I think Prince Shizor did actually want to. I mean, he was trying to seduce Leia. I know that. I'm not sure Mary was in the game for her, but I do know seduction was in there because his species, the Fallen, had naturally seductive powers. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It would be interesting. I have a feel it's one of those stories that like I never really got into, and so I only know like the visceral, like outside details about it. This yield a lot of discussion. Actually, Jacob has a bunch of other questions too.
Yeah, do you think we should move on to the next question?
Yeah, go ahead. Pick any one of your questions.
All right. So one thing that I've been thinking about recently is the legacy of the Old Republic and the Old Jedi Order.
Here we go.
In The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker says something along the lines of the legacy of the Jedi is failure. So Eli and anyone in the chat, if anyone wants to step up and give their take, let's have a conversation. Is the legacy of the Jedi Order and the Old Republic, is it a legacy of failure? Is Luke right or is he wrong? Eli, what do you think?
We recorded a backup episode of In a Galaxy that we're going to post pretty soon. We recorded it on Thursday, and Jacob asked this exact same question. And I'm going to reiterate my answer, which is that the legacy of the Jedi is not failure. The legacy of the prequel Jedi is failure. The legacy of the Jedi as a whole are a bunch of people. Wow, my lighting's going nuts right now. A bunch of people who just want to help. You know, are they good at helping? Sometimes yes, sometimes not so much. But do they want to help? Are they interested in the common good? Hands down.
Clearly,
Luke was feeling a little salty in Last Jedi, and he had the right to. He had been He had been betrayed. He hadn't been betrayed by Ben Solo. He just he had honestly been betrayed by himself. He regretted turning his lightsaber. He regretted turning his lightsaber on Ben, and he was not feeling too good on the Jedi at that point because what path had they led them in down before. Adam said, and it's worth to remember that there were 1,000 years of peace before the fall of the Order. Yes, very good to mention. Also, there's that line from Kenobi in New Hope. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic before the Dark Times.
I think that brings
up 1,000 generations. That's like Legends interpreted that literally to mean 25,000 years where the Jedi existed. And so
I think that
either way you swing it,
I think that brings up a good point, which is that I think that the Jedi were maybe the reason that Luke is saying that is because the Jedi, like they said, they had a lot of they were great in the peacetime, but they weren't so great in the wartime because that wasn't really their job. That wasn't really what the Jedi Order was meant to do. And I think that maybe some of Luke's feelings that the Jedi are failures is that they tried to be maybe too closely tied to the Republic, maybe too much of
there is
the warrior type, like when Mace Windu says the Jedi are
hubris. Yes, Kanata's
not soldiers.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say also there's that line from Attack of the Clones. I think you actually just mentioned it. Mace Windu, we are keepers of the peace, not soldiers. Yeah, yet by the end of that movie, they're already soldiers. And so they saying that the legacy of the Jedi is failure kind of minimizes just how powerful Palpatine was.
Yeah, Palpatine knew what he was doing. He knew
the legacy
of
the
Jedi
prequel Jedi is failure.
Vision.
Oh, I was gonna go. The legacy of the prequel Jedi is failure only because Palpatine orchestrated it that way.
Yeah, and I think while there were definitely some underlying problems, like the Jedi clearly had a lot of hubris, but Palpatine, I think he knew what he was doing, and he used the Jedi's hubris, and I guess the Jedi's sense of complacency, which is pretty apparent in the prequels and the Clone Wars. They're kind of sitting back like, oh wait, Maul, that's impossible. There hasn't been a Sith in 1,000 years. I think he uses that to kind of blow the door wide open and completely destroy the Jedi.
And I find it interesting that the first Jedi to really realize, like the first Jedi in the prequel trilogy that doesn't actually die in the prequel trilogy to really realize how not that doesn't actually die. Besides Qui-Gon, who's always a maverick and always, went against the council. The first Jedi who really figured this whole thing out, or at least started to in Attack of the Clones, is Yoda. It's weird to me that he figures it out that soon, but it's also weird to me that he doesn't figure it out until then, because Yoda, when Yoda was born, the Jedi were 100 years off from their last war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I don't think 100 years is a long time, but I still think I still think the Jedi were reeling from the aftermath of that war. But none of the Jedi at the time of the Clone Wars, except for Yoda, were anywhere close to that other war. Maybe
that's where the hubris comes from, because everyone was just accustomed to peace. They took it for granted that the Republic was
even Yoda. It's all Yoda knows.
They took it for granted that the Republic was like a functional government.
And it's going to be interesting how the High Republic shifts that. When we're talking about the Jedi and we're talking about all of that, I immediately think High Republic, because we see in the High Republic that things are not peaceful.
Yeah,
that the Nile are going around and messing stuff up for people and wrecking hyperlanes and all of that stuff, and we're like, oh. So I mean, they're not fighting the Sith, and will they ever fight the Sith in the High Republic? I highly doubt it. But are they at peace? No, I don't think so. And yet there's the first book of the High Republic is called The Light of the Jedi. So there's that. Are they at peace or aren't they at peace?
Yeah, definitely.
Any thoughts? Any hot takes? Any opinions about this or about anything else in Star Wars? Grab a spot or go in the chat. They were entrenched in dogma too, and actually were not as open-minded as they appear to be. I agree with that. In Legends, and I think this, I'm not sure if this would be in canon, but I'd like to see them add this to canon. Thousands of years before the prequels, the Jedi were allowed to marry.
Really?
And in Legends, in Luke's New Order, the Jedi were allowed to marry. Luke himself got married in Legends. Yes, they were allowed to. Mara Jade, yeah. And it was only with the prequels where they center themselves in the code and the law. Yes, Luke had a son, who he named after Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan knew Luke longer than Leia and Han combined. I'm not criticizing the sequels. I just think it's a little strange how they named their son Ben, despite knowing Obi-Wan for the collective amount of an hour. Just saying. Not an hour, like a day. Anyway. But what I was going to go with was
maybe it was because that Leia knew from her adopted mother and father
how important
he was. Maybe. That's just a theory. I don't know.
That's just a theory. And what I was going to say about the marriage thing is like the Jedi. the Jedi were so centered in their own code, and you must obey code, must do that. We see that even Beyond the Marriage thing. We see that with the trial of Ahsoka Tano
that might be
5. That was
the
one
best
of the
example of it.
Them. And then their subsequent treatment of Ahsoka in season 7. The subsequent treatment, the citizen thing from Mace Windu in what is that? Phantom Apprentice, Shattered? No, not Shattered. It was either, I think it was Phantom Apprentice. Their treatment of Ahsoka, yes, they got lost in the code, as Adam is saying here. They didn't focus on, they didn't focus on the right things.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting.
Okay, go on.
It's interesting. I was just gonna go with. It's interesting. I used to watch a lot of those Versus series, Evan Nova 95, Gen Star 1, on YouTube. And what was interesting to me is they often talked about how the Jedi of the prequel era were some of the best at lightsaber combat. Why? Because they were in the middle of a war, but also because they had lost their way in that way. Because the Jedi of that era are best in lightsaber combat. The lightsaber, the one weapon that they're not supposed to use that much.
Yeah.
They're not warriors. And yet, you have lightsaber masters, Mace Windu, Anakin Skywalker, Kit Fisto in the prequel trilogy because they were in wars.
Yeah.
Kit Fisto dueled Grievous to a standstill. Anakin dueled Dooku and Ventress more times than I can count. Kenobi dueled Grievous and Dooku and Ventress just like so many times. Mace Windu even got in some action against Ventress and I think against Ventress, not against Dooku or Grievous, but they were lightsaber masters because they had to be, because they were in the middle of a war. Interesting. Matthias says maybe Ben was not just from Kenobi.
Good point. Yeah, it could have been someone else completely.
It could have been somebody else, but actually, I just realized something, which is there's this thing in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic where I think Ben Solo says explicitly to Snoke that he was named after Kenobi.
Really? Okay.
I think so.
Adam is saying, I love the concept art for High Republic so far. The regal attire of the Jedi shows itself the differences where the priorities lie in the generation versus the more field-ready attire of the prequel Jedi.
They do describe the Jedi as they say the Jedi Knights of the Round Table. There's an Arthurian feel to it. There's a very we fight for justice, and we are trying they're acting more. They're acting more go with the flow than the Jedi are. The Jedi are must protect Republic, must keep peace by protecting the Republic. It all comes down to protecting the Republic. The High Republic Jedi, it seems like it's always keep peace, keep light alive, keep hope. You know what I mean?
I think that it makes sense. But also it kind of that throws me a little bit. You're right, bringing up the artistic differences of the way the Jedi are portrayed and what they're wearing in the High Republic, at least in what we've seen so far. Because that kind of goes against what was being, I guess, the implication in the movies and a lot of the media is that the Jedi, right before the Clone Wars, during the Clone Wars, right before the Clone Wars, were at the peak of their arrogance and kind of the peak of their hubris and complacency. But maybe that's not the case. It's definitely interesting. Their attire did change a lot. Red 5 Mom says they seem to be able to be more individual, less collective. Red 5 Mom, do you mean the Jedi in the High Republic or the Jedi in the prequel era?
I think they mean the Jedi in the High Republic, which I agree with. It does seem I wonder if in the High Republic the Jedi are the Jedi Council are in as much control as they are in the prequels. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't. I wouldn't be surprised if a Jedi goes up to the Council and says, "Hey, I felt the call of the Force here. Can I go investigate?" And the Jedi Council are like, "Sure, yeah, go ahead." The Jedi Council of the prequel trilogy would never do that because they answer the Republic. That's their thing, you know. Yes, Adam Gosling, which is how
Luke ran his Jedi Order in the EU,
council in Legends. Yeah,
a little more.
I didn't expect to be talking so much about Legends today.
Me neither. But this is awesome. I'm loving where this is going.
This is great. I'm loving this. Maybe we go to the next. By the way, Jacob and I, just disclaimer, we like Legends, but we're both big canon people too.
I love them both. I think I love them both. Yeah.
I love them both. Jacob and I, on one of our opinion segments, we're making into smaller segments. We actually did a question canon or Legends. I think Jacob sides with Legends and I side with canon.
Yeah, that's weird because I feel like when we first started having these discussions multiple years ago, it was kind of flipped. Don't you think?
Okay, we got
30 minutes. All right.
I knew more about Legends. Yes, thank you about that.
Okay, so maybe we should move on to the next
I knew more about Legends when we first met than you did.
I think you still do, but I don't know. I just find myself enjoying it more nowadays.
Yeah, there's things to love about both. Let's go on to our next question. What do you say?
Is it your turn or my turn?
That was your turn.
Okay.
You did the conversation about the Jedi. I wouldn't go near that because we already
go for it.
Covered that like so much. Here's one that I came up with like 20 minutes ago. Not 20 minutes ago. It was like an hour ago. That I loved. It was that when I came up with it, I was like, oh, this is a good question. Star Wars it has many themes to it. One of those themes is friendship. And you know, there's a lot of stuff in Star Wars about friends becoming friends, friends breaking as friends, you know, all that stuff. So I'd like to know in the chat, and you can grab spots as always, of course. What is your favorite Star Wars dynamic duo? Like for me, for example, I love Finn and Poe in the sequel trilogy. I was really rooting for them to get together as our first like real main film LGBTQ plus relationship in 9. I'm disappointed that they didn't.
Or even that they didn't get more screen time together in general. Even if they're just friends, if they're in a romantic relationship. By the way, like those actors, they had such. We got some stuff.
We got the general thing, general, and the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
We got a lot of that good stuff, and Poe as his first thing for the first thing he does after he's promoted to like basically in charge of the resistance is like, okay, Finn needs to be there with me. But I love there's that scene in the TIE Fighter beginning of 7. You know, it's nice job. Kanata's Castle, R2 and 3PO.
Of course.
I thought this might come up, and you know, go that way. You'll be malfunctioning in days, you nearsighted scrap pile. My terrible C3PO impression there. But yes, I will concur that C3PO and R2D2 are like, they're up there with all the Star Wars dynamic duos. Where they're the first one we saw. There's that touching one. I know I'm referencing Rise of Skywalker a lot, but there's that touching scene. I do want to tell you, you've been quite a friend, R2. My best one, in fact. Which was just so touching. Anything about R2 and 3PO before we go to the next one I'm seeing right now?
They might have one of the longest standing relationships in Star Wars, beside at least on screen. Maybe Yoda and Chewbacca probably go back further, but we don't know for sure.
They have one of the longest ones, and of course Chewie. We have Han and Chewie.
Of course.
Han and Chewie is a classic. I remember, you know, everyone was talking about Leia's reaction to Chewie's death in Rise of Skywalker. Not Leia's reaction to Chewie's death, sorry. Other way around. Chewie's reaction to Leia's death in Rise of Skywalker. But what I kind of resonate more with, that's great, but I also love Chewie's reaction to Han's death in Force Awakens. There's that growl, and then he just pulls out his blast, his bowcaster, and just shoots Kylo Ren, and Han and Kylo feels that bolt, like, you know what I mean? He feels it because it's out of absolute, like, you know, that there's that moment. I was just thinking about this morning. In the Star Wars holiday special, I didn't think I was going to be bringing this up, But there's that moment. We got to bring this up. If you haven't seen it, look up Han Chewie awkward hug Star Wars Holiday Special. Your mind will just melt because so many things are like there are so many things that are awkward in that, but that's just a really weird one. There's a really weird awkward hug with Han and Chewie and in the holiday special.
Rural Farm Boy.
Rural Farm Boy, yeah.
There's Cassian and
K2SO.
Another great duo. I thought one of the best moments in the movie was when he slapped him. That was pretty funny. That was improv, wasn't it?
That was improv.
So Diego Luna had to cover his face to keep from laughing.
Well, we are taking them to imprison them.
In prison. Yeah.
But you got to hit that maximum word count. Is that meme? My thing with Cassian in K2SO is that my thing is like jury's still out on them because of the Cassian series. You know, Alan Tudyk's been signed on.
Yeah.
We're going to see K2SO in Cassian, I guarantee you. I wasn't crazy. This is one of my more unpopular Star Wars opinions. I'm not a huge fan of Rogue One myself. I've never been a humongous fan of Rogue One. And there's that line in, have you watched, I'm sure you've watched it, Jacob, but maybe you haven't watched it in a while. There's the line from the Honest trailer for Rogue One. The droid with more personality than any of the human characters.
Oh man, that's a little bit of that's a jab.
It's a jab, but it's kind of true for me. It's like none of them really have personality for me. I never really got much out of Jyn or Cassian or Baze or Bodhi. I got stuff out of Chirrut, but quick side, either of you familiar with the radio dramas?
Star Wars radio
Not
drama.
much, actually, no.
I think I might.
Oh no, he's about to pull out something.
Is this what you're talking about? I've listened to part of it. I haven't managed to finish it, but I actually found it at my grandparents' house.
Oh, that's great. That's incredible.
Here, let me go get something.
This was our quick dressing of we had quick. I can pull out some Star Wars stuff too. I have it in the background myself, but yeah, he's pulling out the
I got
stuff.
I got also two of them on tape, so I don't have any way to listen to these, but they're a really cool thing. Yeah, my grandparents gave them to me because I was like, well, what are these?
Oh, that's awesome.
Listen to them. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Touche there. But Cassian K2, it's jury's out on this one because of the Cassian series for me.
Yeah.
I think they're good so far. What else? That was a
I have kind of a question. Well, it didn't. I don't think it's ever appeared on it. I know it hasn't appeared on screen actually. What about Thrawn and Eli Vanto in the canon Thrawn books that came out a couple years ago? They were a pretty cool duo.
That's an interesting one. They
had kind of a
lot of people. I've read all three.
They had kind of like an interesting relationship because it wasn't so much just like a friendly friendship like Han and Chewbacca. It was kind of this like it was kind of a weird alliance.
Thrawn's always a weird character to deal with socially.
Yeah, it felt like a weird kind of touch and go.
That's the thing about Thrawn is he's so smart that his one weakness has to be that he just does not know what to do socially.
Yeah. But I guess like Eli, it's a mentor-apprentice thing. What's interesting, it's a professional, as Adam says, professional relationship in a way, but they look out for each other on a personal level. Yeah, I think it's interesting because ostensibly you'd think that Thrawn is the mentor, and to some extent he is, but then Eli Vanto is also the mentor because he's talking about he's kind of trying to help guide Thrawn through the politics of the lower levels of the Empire,
to the Imperial culture. Yeah,
because that's Thrawn's weakness.
And you see, at the by the time of the end of Thrawn, the first book, at the end of Thrawn doesn't need Eli around as a translator.
Yeah, he doesn't. But
he doesn't. He understands basic just fine. Why does he keep him around? Because Eli's learned so much from him, and he can be a very helpful ally in capturing Knight. What's the name? Knight. What?
Which book? Which book of the trilogy?
First one. Thrawn. Knight Shadow. Night Shadow. I'm gonna look it up right now.
It's been too long since I read those books.
Thrawn book villain. Night Shade. I think it might be Night Shade. Anyone in the chat? Let's see.
Those books were great, though. Those books were great.
Actually, Signy. Signy is his real name. Wait, nope, that's not what I'm Signy.
My brain's leaky too.
Yeah. Neville Signy. Night Swan.
Night Swan.
There
we go.
There we go. Finally. Yeah. And I found it really interesting.
Yes,
Matthias.
Zeb and Kallus. Thank you, Zeb and Kallus. They had so much potential. Yeah. I'm very sad that okay, we won't spoil it.
Jacob's the huge Rebels fan of us. I love Rebels, but like
they were still very good pair with different personalities. Exactly. I'm really bummed that we didn't get to see more of them. I thought that we were going to get to see some of Agent Kallus. I thought that we were going to get to see some of Agent Kallus in a Disney Plus show. Yeah, what if they were worked into the Rebels follow-up show that is supposed to be coming? That would be awesome.
According to people at Kessel Run Transmissions, who are usually pretty accurate about stuff, they predicted Bad Batch months before it came out through their sources. They say it's coming.
I hope so. I hope they're right.
It's coming. I think Filoni set up the end of that show wanting to tell more, wanting to show more. I've had I've had like a headcanon in my head about the first episode of that show, and it's just like the Star Destroyer coming out of hyperspace to Scylla, which is the Chiss planet. And everyone and the Chiss patrol's looking at it, and Ezra finally waking up from he probably got knocked out by the hyperspace jump, and he just wakes up and he goes, "What's going on, guys?" And then it flashes the title screen.
Yeah, Matthias. Yeah, exactly. If we got the two shows, that would be awesome. Another potential duo that I would love to see more of that kind of got set up is Sabine and Ahsoka after Return of the Jedi.
Yes,
that could be great.
Season 3 or 2.
Two of my those are.
I think 2 is a little.
Those are two of my favorite characters.
I think Ahsoka's in 2. I'm not sure if Sabine would be in 2.
In The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it has a potential for season 3.
Yeah. I was hoping for an animated show because we see that Sabine kind of has is kind of defined by her in Rebels. She's defined partly by her rebelliousness and her kind of the youthful qualities, because she's pretty much in her late teens where she's she's rebellious, irreverent.
My thing is, if we see Ahsoka,
how does that play out when she's a little older, mid-20s, late 20s?
Yeah.
I thought that would blow me away, definitely. And I can never the fandom can't seem to get enough of Ahsoka, fan favorite character.
Oh, absolutely no. She Ahsoka's been. I think Ahsoka's in 2. I'm not sure about Sabine. And my thing is Kanata Castle. I was just about to get to that.
Oh my gosh! If Ahsoka met Luke, that would be mind blowing. Yeah. That would be amazing. Thank you, Red 5 Mom.
I think there's a decent chance, and I hope this is happening. I think season 3 of The Mandalorian, we have a good chance of seeing Luke. I think it would be really cool if we saw Luke in Mandalorian season 3.
Imagine.
Because it would be great, and yeah, my thing is in season 2 we get Ahsoka and Boba Fett. In season 3 we get Luke, Sabine, and Ochi of Bestoon.
Ochi of Bestoon. Yeah.
No, seriously, they could work it in a really interesting way.
Yeah, that's true. They probably could.
I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 right now. That's 2. We got it. We're doing good.
It's funny. We kind of loop back around to talking about shows that we want to see.
This is how Star Wars is connected in all those ways. It's great.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we got? Let's go to another question.
Another topic. Okay, 15 minutes. Thank you, Dan. All right.
Yeah. Actually, I like one of your questions. I'm asking one of your questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually combining a question that I prepared and a question that you prepared.
All right, go for it.
I prepared a question which was what Star Wars character should get their own movie and why. And you said who's the most underappreciated Star Wars character.
So we can kind of, let's combine those.
So we can combine those. Like, what underappreciated Star Wars character can get a movie? Now, I'm going to forbid myself from saying the obvious choice for me, which is Ochi's Festoon. But I'm gonna forbid myself from saying that, and I'm going to go with you know what I really want to see? We got a bit of this in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, and I really want to see more of this. Let's see Luke and Lor Santeca.
Lor Santeca. Lor Santeca was the guy in the hut at the beginning of The Force Awakens.
Pre-Force Awakens, as seen as in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, Luke and Santeca went on a lot of adventures together.
They did, really.
For Force relics. And there was this thing in the Poe Dameron comic where he had this thing called there was this stone, I forget what it is called. The I'm going to look this up. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, Lor Santeca Poe Dameron stone.
What did the stone do? Why did they need it?
It represented the balance between light and dark.
Oh wow, that's a lot for a stone.
It's a very yeah. If anyone knows what I think it's called the Kazarath device. I'm not sure. I might be making that. I think it's called the Kazar. I'm gonna look at on Wikipedia for the term Kazarath. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure if anybody knows what I'm talking about. It's from the Poe Dameron comic. Wow, my thing is getting really laggy right now. Okay.
It's from the Poe Dameron comic. Okay.
Yeah, it's from the Poe Dameron comic. I think it's called the Kazarath device. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Luke and Lor Santeca searching for relics. We saw it also a little bit in the campaign of Battlefront 2, where Luke found that thing on Pilio.
The vault
with
like the Emperor's vault thing.
Yeah, that vault on Pilio.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a real farm boy. I'm not a huge comic guy too. I just I hear stuff about the comics, and so I just kind of
I love the comics, but they're so complicated. Like I feel like I can't make sense of them. Like in my room, I have two different comics, and they're both called Darth Vader #1, and they're both canon. Like what is that about?
They're like he gets the compass to find Octo. Yes. It's a hard name to spell. But anyway, Jacob, underappreciated Star Wars character that you think should get a series.
I don't know if this is about a character per se, but I would love, given that we've seen the success of The Mandalorian, I think a show about some old aspect of the Mandalorians, like in Legends, there was the Crusaders and the Neo Crusaders, or maybe like the rise of the peaceful Mandalorians. Yeah, like Rebels season 3.
Rebel stuff. Tar Vizsla with the drawing thing that was really awesome.
Yeah, just like something like that. I think that would be cool. Mandalorians are awesome.
I think it would be really interesting. I think you're probably a bigger Mandalorian fan than I am. I'm a Mandalorian fan. It's just not what I'm crazy about. I'm crazy about like the if any of you know Alden Diaz, Octo Radio, what he calls the swords and sorcery aspect of Star Wars, which is like the Force stuff. But yeah, I can see some.
Red 5 Mom says the Jedi Mando connections would be a good story to explore. Wow, I didn't even. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. The Jedi and the Mandalorians. Why did the Jedi?
Mandalorian Jedi.
Yeah.
What?
Why did the Jedi?
My question is this would be a cool twist I'd like to see. So maybe it's revealed in the show. Maybe it's revealed in that maybe it's revealed in like the.
I will roll farm boy. I will.
Yeah, I'm. Maybe it's revealed in that movie. Maybe it's revealed in that movie or TV show that the Darksaber actually is not just like a ceremonial thing. Maybe it actually has special attributes to it. I think that'd be really cool. Like, yeah. What do you think about that idea of like the Darksaber having special attributes?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea for me. 10 minutes. Thank you, Dan.
We're good. Thanks, Dan. Yeah. Anyone else grab a spot or talk about an underappreciated Star Wars character that should get their own movie?
I feel like maybe this. I don't want to derail the conversation. I feel like maybe movies. I feel like as we've been discussing, we've been more drawn towards shows, and I think maybe movies aren't the best format moving forwards, given the mixed results that we've had so far with Star Wars.
Maybe we'll change the question. Maybe we'll change the question. Yeah, Babu Frick. We need a Babu Frick movie right now.
What about a planet full of like Babu Frick people? Imagine.
And there needs to be a game. Or there needs to be a game.
A mini-series, yes.
Frick, with the Babu Frick mini-series or movie. Either way, there needs to be a game where you take a shot every single time they say, hey.
Yeah.
And Zellens, is that what Babu Freak is?
And Zellens. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Let's see. And Zellens.
Yeah,
and Zellens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
We need to see like.
What about what's the guy in the D Squad in the Clone Wars? Meeber Gascon.
Very nice
he's
reference
tiny,
right
but
there.
He's like, he has a big personality.
Him and Whack, especially in that first, him and Whack 47, especially that first episode, is hilarious. Zilkin, Meeber Gascon is a Zilkin, which I actually find hilarious because that's a Zilkin might be like a species of an alien from like a Star Trek or something like that. Interesting, a Squadrons type pilot show.
Show about pilots. Yeah. That would be amazing because I have this.
Read by Mom Kanata's Castle. Not to derail anything and not to burst your bubble or anything, but I know we don't have something like completely about that, but Resistance. Star Wars Resistance is a lot about pilots.
Yeah.
And it's much better than everyone gives it credit for.
I think we need more. Yeah. I think something that would be great would be like, what about a show about the rebels? Like, what about a show about Red Squadron or a show about some rebel or Imperial squadron where the main cast of characters is the squadron,
like Rogue Squadron, like the X-Wing books from Legends.
Yeah, or like the I have this amazing Legends comic book. I can see it sitting on my desk. It's amazing, and it's all about like the dynamics of the crew members and them going on this important mission, and it's just fantastic. So I think something like that would be really great.
Yeah, I think
it's like a good format to pursue.
Jacob and I were talking on a recent episode actually about Resistance that we recorded. We haven't posted this one yet, but we will soon. Yeah. About Resistance, and Jacob was like correctly identifying, oh wait, this is one of the only Star Wars major things right now we have without Force users.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. See it from the perspective of someone has no see like we've gotten glimpses of this, but really an entire show.
It's actually in the technology.
Yeah.
Not in the
We have a game.
I'm very excited. Yeah, I am very excited for Squadrons.
I'm hyped too.
I'm much more excited now than I was a couple months ago because Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which I'm more excited for, isn't interfering with it. But rip Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. We're gonna have to wait till spring for that, which is sad. But the trailer was awesome, so I think it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah.
Let's see. One final.
We have like 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. One final question, and Jacob, you're familiar with this question because I've asked it about as much as you've asked. What about the legacy of the Jedi? So I've asked it a lot, and I know you've had to put up with this question a lot, and I'm going to ask it more because I love this question. I'd love to hear in the chat or grabbing spots either way about there's a famous quote by George Lucas in the making of Episode 1. You see it's like poetry, they rhyme. Every stanza sort of rhymes with the last. Hopefully it'll work. And I love that. It's my favorite quote about the production of Star Wars by far because it happens so much. We see
like the callbacks and the references.
Not only just movies, but TV too. There's that scene in the Zygeria arc with the slavery arc where Anakin does the wave to R2 like this, what I'm talking about, which mirrors Luke doing the same in Return of the Jedi.
Wow, I didn't even catch that. That's incredible.
Yeah. There's a video which is like a compilation of all of them, but I'd love to hear everyone in the chat or just your Jacob, one of your favorite it's like poetry, it rhymes moments.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That's a good question.
Temple one you were gonna do from you did.
Yeah. Okay. So one of my favorite moments is when Ahsoka Tano leaves the Jedi Order originally in the Clone Wars. It's very sad, and we have the final shot of her walking down the steps, and her head disappears below, and she goes away, and it's really sad. And then in Star Wars Rebels, in the season 2 finale, after the temple blows up and you see a shot of Darth Vader walking out of the temple, and then in the background, if you look closely, you see Ahsoka, and she's kind of has a little bit of glowing white stuff around her, and she's walking down the steps deeper into the Sith temple. Clearly, that doesn't mean she's going to the dark side. That's just self-evident in Ahsoka's character arc so far as we know it. But that really resonates with me because I grew very attached to Ahsoka by that point from the Clone Wars and from the season 2 of Rebels. So that was a cool moment for me. And I'm wondering, because we see that Ahsoka is reinducted, maybe not formally, but she considers herself a Jedi at least, because when Rey says, "I am all the Jedi," in the Rise of Skywalker, right before that
includes Ahsoka.
Yeah, we hear Ahsoka's voice. So maybe that has something to do with the first moment when she's walking down the steps away from the Jedi Order. Maybe after she gets defeated by Darth Vader, she realizes that she needs to go back to the Jedi. I don't know, but it's a great moment.
My thing about that is Ahsoka historically has been seen walking down a lot of things. She walks down the steps of the...
well, you're right. The first shot we see of her when she's introduced to the story is walking off the ramp of the shuttle.
Walking down the ramp of the shuttle. And then we see the same thing happen again with Bo-Katan at the beginning of the Siege of Mandalore.
Wow.
Walking down the steps. And then she does it again with the Jedi Temple and the Sith Temple.
Yeah, and those are all like...
Plot twist. In Mandalorian Season 2, first appearance of Ahsoka is Ahsoka walking up something.
I don't know. I don't want it to sound like we're grasping at straws here, but I think that might be onto something there. Really cool. I'd grab a spot on that.
Ring theory moments. Ring theory moments. I love ring theory. The ring theory is the idea that Star Wars is connected like a ring. So not like 1, 4, not 1 and 4, not 1, 4 and 7, and 2, 5 and 8, 3, 6 and 9, but 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 6.
Red 5.
And then I guess 5.
Can you give me? I'm not familiar with the ring theory. Can you give us some examples, maybe? Like drop an example in the chat of ring theory.
It was set up before the sequels, but I'm sure there was other like.
Yeah, I can't think of any examples.
For example, in both 1 and 9, Palpatine does a significant deal to rise to power. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he kind of is. He's kind of coming out. Okay.
Yep. We're getting time. There's one final example I was thinking, which was that there's a temptation to the dark side in both 2 and 8, and destroying the dark side, but not actually, but with Kylo and Rey and
all right, yeah,
and Duke and Anakin. But we're wrapping up. So thanks everyone for coming to the panel. This was so much fun. This will be posted as an episode in a Galaxy on Friday. And so thanks so much.
Thank you
guys.
so much. Quick reminder, donate if you can, if you want.
Check out our
donate to the
check out our Anchor link.
The Make-A-Wish. Vocal is matching your donations. Yeah, Eli. Do you want to drop the link in again? Awesome. Yeah, donate. Yeah, check us out on Anchor if you want more. If you like, hit us up on Twitter. Like, we will try and respond to anything you guys say, and we'll work that into the podcast. We want to have a discussion. We want to have a conversation. So thank you guys so much for coming. Yeah, it's over. Are you there?